We are constantly flooded with new and exciting game releases. Nothing gets people more excited than a highly anticipated game getting a sequel announcement. I mean, look at games like GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, Fallout 4. All of these games created an immense amount of buzz on the internet and are still being played to this day. So today I wanted to count down the top 10 game sequels that would break the internet. Note, games like GTA 6 and Elder Scrolls 6 won't be on this list because they have already been officially announced. Also remember, this list is my own opinion and everyone would have their own list. With that out of the way, let's get into it. At number 10, I have Stardew Valley 2. Stardew Valley is a huge game. What started as a simple farming simulator turned into a juggernaut of a game. A game with a similar vibe to Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley is a game you can just keep playing for hours and hours. It sucks you into its world, constantly feeding you new objectives, pushing you towards new relationships, and providing you new ways to build your world. Stardew Valley has become an iconic game, and every update brings excitement and anticipation. This is just from small gameplay updates. Now imagine an entire sequel announcement. This would bring unparalleled excitement and easily be the talk of the internet for weeks. Now, unfortunately, developer Concerned Ape has basically said there will not be a sequel, and he is instead focused on other projects. We can still hope that a sequel to this fantastic farming simulator will come to break the internet one day. At number 9, I have Bloodborne 2. Out of all the games on this list, I feel Bloodborne 2 is the most likely to happen. I mean, the first Bloodborne has gone down in history as one of the most beloved games of all time. The talk surrounding this game is almost fanatical. The original Bloodborne was a game that did really well on release and people had an overall positive outlook on it, but over time it has just grown to become bigger than anyone could have imagined. I can't even fathom the response when a new entry is announced. I almost fear a new entry in this franchise just because I'm not sure From Software can meet the standards that have been set up to this point. But on the flip side, Elden Ring was one of the most highly anticipated games of all time, and From Software not only met demands, but exceeded them. So if any company can make Bloodborne 2 as good as people want, I think it's From Software. When this game is announced, it will shatter the internet, and that is why it makes my list. At number 8, I have Mass Effect 4. One of the most controversial franchises of all time, Mass Effect has made quite a splash on the gaming world and has also become one of the most loved and most hated franchises to ever exist. Mass Effect 1 and 2 are widely believed to be works of art, creating a fantastic world, deep characters, and decisions that make you feel like you are making a real change. Now, Mass Effect 3 had most of this, but a controversial ending left a stale taste in some people's mouths. Then Andromeda came out, and well, let's just leave it at that. So after some major home runs and some major misses, people are on the edge of their seat waiting to see what Mass Effect does next. No matter what happens with a new entry, it will be controversial and talked about everywhere. I do believe Mass Effect is at the point where no matter how good the game ends up being, people will still hate it. It's one of those franchises that has soured on people to such a deep level that it may be too late. But no matter the reason, Mass Effect 4 will still be a massive deal when we get its first trailer, and that is why I believe it deserves to be on the list. At number 7, I have Fallout 5. I know for a fact that this game will break the internet, because when Fallout 4 was announced, it absolutely shattered the internet. Fallout 4 is a beloved franchise that is still played and talked about to this day. Fallout 4 was overall really well received and made people salivate for even more Fallout. It's a shame we haven't had a Fallout since then. Now, for me personally, I think they need to get on a new Fallout as soon as possible. Bethesda knows how successful the show has been, and having a new Fallout to play in between seasons is perfect. Fallout 4 alone had a huge spike after the release of the Amazon show. Now imagine if it was an entirely new Fallout game. Fallout 5 could break trailer records, Steam records, download records. There are very few games, in my opinion, that are in a better spot to be announced than Fallout 5, and I hope Bethesda doesn't miss this opportunity. Fallout 5 is primed to shatter the internet, and that's why it makes my list. At number 6, I have Red Dead Redemption 3. Similar to the last entry on my list, I know this game will break the internet just based on the fact it has already done that relatively recently. The original Twitter post for Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the most liked posts of all time. People love this franchise, and Red Dead Redemption 2 was a monumental success. People praised it for its fantastic characters, engrossing story, and engaging combat. The Red Dead train is on a high, and an announcement for a third would blow the roof off. Now, while I do expect a Red Dead 3 to be announced at some point in the future, I don't think it will be anytime soon. I fully expect GTA 6 will have been out for a long while before we see word of a sequel. And this is fine. It builds anticipation and gives Rockstar time to perfect the third entry in this gunslinging tale. This franchise has already shattered the internet once, and I look forward to it doing it again. At number 5, I have Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic 3. For a long time, I never really thought we would ever see anything from Knights of the Old Republic again. It has been over 20 years since KOTOR 2, and since then, there have been many company absorptions, moves, and changes. The original BioWare is a very different company than the BioWare we once knew. It seemed that BioWare was just done with the franchise, but then luckily we received news that Saber Interactive would be remaking the original KOTOR, and the dream was reignited. Even over these 20 years, KOTOR has been a staple franchise. It is one of BioWare's best, and the idea that we could still get a third entry even after all this time is absolutely thrilling. I can't even imagine the reaction people would have if a sequel was announced. For a lot of people, KOTOR is their favorite game of all time. It's a nostalgic masterpiece, and a game that deserves to be brought back from the dead. It would reignite the Star Wars world, and that's why it deserves a spot on my list. At number 4, I have The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time 2. Now, this one is a bit of a pipe dream, I will admit, but I'll put it on the list because the internet would implode if this game was announced. Now, The Legend of Zelda isn't typically known for having direct sequels, but there have been exceptions. Look at the original Legend of Zelda 2 or Tears of the Kingdom. So it is definitely an option on the table. And if any Zelda game was to get a direct sequel, it would have to be Ocarina of Time. This is many people's favorite Zelda game, and also many people's favorite game, flat out. The idea of this game getting a sequel is almost too good to be true, and it's probably not on the cards at this point, but crazier things have happened. Just imagine the reaction if the first Nintendo Direct for the Switch 2 finishes up with one final trailer, and it's The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time 2. There are very few reveals that I think could have an impact like this. Like I said before, I would be shocked to see this, but we all know it would be a legend in the making. At number 3, I have Portal 3. For me personally, there isn't a game on this list that I would be more excited for than Portal 3. Portal 2 was an absolutely legendary game. Everything about it was exemplary. From the characters to the humor to the addicting puzzle solving. This game really is masterful. The fact it hasn't, and at this point probably won't receive a sequel, is heartbreaking. It is one of the many games that has fallen into Valve's fear of a third game. I mean, look at Portal 3, Half-Life 3, Dota 3, Left 4 Dead 3. Where are they? Now imagine the hype if Valve finally broke the curse with the highly requested Portal 3. Valve did such an amazing job on Portal 2 that an announcement of Portal 3 would be the only thing the internet would talk about for months. Like I said, I don't think it's going to happen at this point, but we can dream. And for all these reasons, that is why I have Portal 3 at number 3 on my list. At number 2, I have Minecraft 2. So, I'll admit, this one is a bit of an oddball. I don't expect this will ever happen, nor do I have any idea how Mojang would pull this off. But can you imagine what Minecraft 2 would do to our culture if announced? I mean, as a whole, I would argue Minecraft is the number one most impactful content creation game of all time. It's beloved by kids and adults alike. Minecraft is a game above games. If you walk down the street, I would almost guarantee anyone you ask would have at least heard of the game. Now imagine a sequel. I honestly think it's almost impossible at this point and also highly unlikely. I mean, what would be changed or added? The continual updates are great, and the modding community is what keeps this game fresh. There really is no need for a sequel, but imagine a sequel where the visuals and gameplay are modernized and overhauled. It would definitely cause a stir, and at the very least, completely break the internet. That is why Minecraft 2 is number 2 on my list. At number 1, I have Half-Life 3. This one is probably obvious. I mean, Half-Life 3 is less of a game and more of a meme at this point. There is not a game that could be created that will live up to the hype that Half-Life 3 has generated. In my opinion, I don't think Half-Life 3 will ever be created just because I don't think Valve thinks they can create a game that is worthy of the name. But ultimately, anything can happen, and for all we know, tomorrow Valve could announce Half-Life 3. Although at this point, I think the only place fitting of an announcement like this would be the Super Bowl or presidential decree. Now, the only hope I have at this point for Half-Life 3 comes just from the fact we got Half-Life Alyx recently. It was surprising and a nice resurgence to the franchise that people didn't expect. This shows me that Valve hasn't completely given up on the franchise, and with how good it was, they still know how to make a fantastic game. But ultimately, what is this list about? Game sequels that would break the internet, and obviously no game would break the internet like Half-Life 3. So that is my list for the top 10 game sequels that would break the internet. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.